and Pledge of Allegiance. I guess I'll say the time too. It's at 4:04.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Nick,
Here, present.
Tom,
Here.
and Zach.
Here.
Andres and Joe are currently not here. And we have Attorney Les Downs in the room as well.
Okay.
Hi, Nick.
So we'll move on to number 3, adopt the agenda. Yeah, he doesn't want to.
What'd you do
I
today?
know,
Yeah.
Just kidding from all sides.
Yeah. He's really upset about the spelling.
I know, exactly.
So we'll move to number 3, adopting the agenda.
So make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes, I'll second it.
Nick, do you agree?
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach?
Yes. Number 4, any public comment?
No.
Sweet. Number 5, we'll review the meeting minutes from February 2024.
If somebody says they're a typo.
Yeah, right, yeah.
No, I've been awake long enough to
I
read
know,
the
right?
day.
Somebody doesn't like monster drink or coffee.
I see any problem.
Yeah, I don't either.
So, make a motion that we accept the minutes of February 2024?
I'll second it.
Nick,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach?
Yes. And we'll move on to number 6, financial statements from February 2024.
Total cash on hand for February was $2,575,016. That's up $555,886 from January, so we're looking up.
Apologies, we did this for
February net income was $27,108. And overall, we're still in the red, we'll slowly start coming into the black. No concerns there.
And just so you're aware, Nick, Joe just arrived.
Yeah, just said everybody.
Les
Yeah.
got his fresh.
Yeah, exactly, I did, as soon as I
I'm
arrived.
gonna ridicule, I'm leaving. But I feel with ridicule, you just stayed away. Exactly.
Well, we had to get you in here. So, move to accept the financial statements from February 2024. I'll make a motion.
Second.
You can second them, but I just realized that you can't initiate the motion.
You're supposed to. The presiding officer is not supposed to.
Got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So we need a motion from someone.
please, sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Now I'm going shy on second.
Now you can
Oh,
second.
no, sorry, I really
You're all-
did.
You can always be second,
Right,
Zach.
yeah, right,
Yeah, that is my place.
Nick,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach?
Yes. So
I
we'll
want to say
move.
present, I missed that part.
Yeah. So we'll move on to 7, old business. Anybody got any old business?
Is there anything that we can talk about publicly from your email, or is that for an executive session?
No, we can talk about that.
I didn't have time to read it, so
And
so.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
Do we want to summarize anything, or
Well, sure. I mean, if
do you want to wait? I mean, since I haven't had time to read it.
I understand. I mean, I'm happy to just make a few comments and just let you know. And I sent all you guys my responsive brief. It was due Friday, got filed Friday,
And I sent all of you, of course, a copy. And they have, I believe it's 24 days to file a reply brief. And then the case will be an issue. And the Court of Appeals is going to decide what they are going to do. And we wait. And in a number of appeals I have done on domestic relations cases, it takes about 6 months before the Court of Appeals will rule.
Okay.
And then, but I think it would probably be appropriate to have an executive session at our next meeting so that we can discuss this more in depth. And I'm sorry, I just sent it to you yesterday.
I've just been busy. Otherwise, I would have taken the time, but it's probably an executive session topic anyway, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. But as you're reading it, please know there were a lot more things I would have liked to have said, but it was important to, what you have to do when you're doing a responsive brief is to confine yourself to the issues that are presented by them in their opening brief. So a lot of other issues I would have liked to talk about, but if it's not, you don't want to talk about unresponsive things, otherwise you'll lose whoever it is that's reading your brief from the Court of Appeals. So anyway, that is what I was doing.
I didn't receive one, could you send it to me again?
Sure, absolutely. Yep. Sorry you didn't get it.
Yeah, and with abundance of emails I get, it's surely could have.
I understand, but yeah, I'd be happy to send it to you again.
So are we thinking around September?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And they may surprise us. I will also send you a copy of their reply brief as soon as I get that. I will send that to everybody. And then, we just wait. And if the Court of Appeals rules before then, of course I will let you know what the Court of Appeals ruling is as soon as we receive that. One thing I was telling Gabe earlier in the week is that it's a good position to be in because we're asking the appellate court to affirm the decision of the trial court, is what we're doing, kind of. But anyway, so we'll have an executive session next time, and hopefully you guys will have a chance to read. And you may want to read their brief and then read our brief, just so you can kind of see how that goes. Any questions?
So, do we read what you sent us first, or?
You can.
But then we wait 24 days or whatever
Right.
to read the next part?
Well, I would
Or was there something
suggest-
that preceded
There
your response?
was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. There was their opening brief, and I'm happy to send that to you if you don't. I meant to send that to you, and I know I sent it. You may not have gotten it. You may not have received it. Like Joe didn't receive my last one, but if you want their opening brief, I'm happy to send that to you.
Yeah.
It-
I mean,
Send
yeah,
that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
So maybe I'll just send both briefs to everybody.
Cool.
okay.
Okay, so you have those.
Sweet.
You got their opening brief. Yeah, okay. But yeah, happy to do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Had you already sent the opening brief? I may have already gotten it and read it.
Yeah,
I think he did.
Yeah, I am sure I did.
I'm pretty sure
Right.
he did.
And I generally always,
Oh, yeah, totally.
good,
Right.
good. Okay, I'm so glad. I generally send it to staff first. I'm not even sure. Like I want staff to read my brief if we have time before it's actually filed. Didn't have time this time. But I usually I send them a copy and then I send it to the board.
Cool. Yeah.
But I also CC them so they know that I've sent it to the board.
Yeah, cool. So, are we able to go about making any, like, scheduling the executive session for next meeting?
Good.
Just that way it's already requested.
That'd be great.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
You got any new business? Move on to item 8.
Tom does.
I was going to use it in miscellaneous, but
Okay,
no, I'll bring it up now. I don't know if it's also miscellaneous, but I was in city council and Les was there, and there was some people that came to talk about alcohol rehab. Is that correct?
And drug.
And drug. And it just dawned on me, they're looking at buying property, or they're going to build or something. And it's like the ride along that I brought to you. If the health service district is successful, then we have opportunities to do a lot of different things. And so I waited and I talked to the people afterwards, and I said, why don't you go over and look at the ambulance building? Because, I don't know when we're moving out exactly, but it's something that, we own. Either they buy it from us or we partner and create a service or something. But Barbara told me they came over here and they were pretty ecstatic, with the facility. So Trinidad has a lot, as Les knows, because he's a city council, there's a lot of things that are happening like that, like the ride-along thing and this that are needed in the community. And with the health service district, it's a possibility that we could help facilitate some of that. So that's all I did is I said, sounds like, you might want to go look at our building, and they did.
That's awesome.
So.
Did you ask what the ride-along
Yeah,
thing
what's
was?
the ride-along thing?
They did a presentation several months ago, and I gave Gabe the card. That, like in Pueblo, they ride along with the police officers, and at first the police officers weren't really interested, and now they kind of like fight for them because not everybody needs to go to jail. Some people need to, time out or whatever, mental
I see what
whatever.
you're saying. I think we talked about this because we had one for Grady that was 7170 that was like that. They were they were a trained mental health crisis team.
Yeah.
Or a provider that worked with them.
And they ride along, but even what's his name that used to be a cop that's on city council is like there's people that don't need to go to jail.
Right.
But we don't have any place to take them. And so in the bigger scheme of things, maybe this facility down the road, either we sell it or we partner with people and we say, and we redo it and we make it, available for those services because they're needed. So.
That is true. Especially if there's already a rehab facility looking into the building, if they are further interested, it is kind of a perfect opportunity for some sort of like acute treatment unit or some kind of behavioral health crisis type resource that they go hand in hand. They're often sharing buildings, and they have a lot of the same rules and the same the same titles that they work under. So I like that a lot. That's way cool.
Yeah,
especially
and that's
for this
kind of
area.
what they just walking them around kind of sound like what they wanted to do was kind of a live-in rehab facility with this building, and they thought this was perfect for their needs. And so I went and found an appraiser and to see if we can get this building appraised and see if we can work something out.
Sweet. That's way cool.
Cool.
And thanks, Tom.
Yep.
That worked out great.
Being at all these meetings pays off sometimes.
Sometimes keyword.
Right.
I'm a good client.
We'll put your name on a
Yeah,
door.
that's
Cool. So is that our new business for the day?
Right.
Sweet. And we can move on to number 9, director's report.
Oh, let's see. So Dr. Becker, Robert Becker is officially our medical director. So he's working on transitioning our DA license and our advanced practice waivers to his name. So that should be done by the end of the week. And Dr. Mandrell, who is the regional medical director, has agreed to be our backup medical director for a community paramedic. So we're moving in a good direction with both of them. Billing company, EMSC year-to-date net collections, $318,238. On the old AR, we've collected $7,522. The Quick Med attorney finally replayed the less. Basically stated that the new billing company also failed to collect and or accused us of omitting collection numbers to them. So I was a little frustrated and told Les EMSMC did fail to collect because they were deemed uncollectible when you gave it to them. And if you want to go to court and dispute our integrity, have at it, because they have to come to court here. So I don't know if you sent that.
No. I'll send you a copy of a draft of my response before I send it.
But I was a little frustrated with them to accuse us of omitting information.
Yeah.
We'll But I'll do that tomorrow. I'll send you a copy
You
of the
can
draft
put your-
response.
Attorney
What-
mumbo jumbo
What
line.
kind of information are they claiming we've omitted?
Collections,
Yeah,
that we've collected more from the old billing company
I
than what
see. We're saying we
we're
didn't
saying,
collect.
yeah.
Or we're saying we didn't collect it, but we supposedly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that really kind of set me
Yeah,
off.
that's frustrating.
So we're working on a reply to that and see where that goes. But I basically told Les to tell him that he owes us that 113,359. And that we would just be done at that point. So
Say that number again.
113,359.
Okay.
New building update, construction's still moving along quickly. The entire exterior of the building's complete, with some gas lines and electrical that needs to be run into the building still. They've been waiting for the weather to dry out so they can place the generator. And they're hoping to start on flooring next week, 2 weeks. And then once they get the flooring, then they'll do paint and drop ceiling. And then from there on, it's just pavement and some of the dirt. So
Wow.
we're looking
That's
at
moving
probably an early summer move-in, but
quick. Wow,
they're reluctant to give us an actual date.
right. Wow, that's
So-
still fast.
Right.
If we want to go out there, can we go out there I haven't gone out there since the grand opening.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to go out there,
Absolutely.
just get a hold of one of us.
Just so call here first before we go out there?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
go out
it'd
there
probably be
and-
good, and then we can show you where everything's at and kind of
What's
where, not, because it was obviously, it looks way different now.
Yeah.
So-
Or maybe we wait till the next meeting and we have maybe a little where we go out afterwards or before.
We can do that too. Or we can do that
That
this
would be
evening. If you guys have time, we can do that after this too.
I
So,
know Joe has a meeting,
right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll have one next month.
yeah.
so we could try and do it before the meeting next month.
Wow.
The snow, this
That's
roof
the
is.
snow coming
Nice.
off.
Usually that happens when I'm
was-
walking over
wow.
it, so.
It's like, it
That's
doesn't
gonna
bug
scare
me.
me. I would say we need to be careful because if you guys all go,
Oh, yeah.
it potentially is a meeting,
True.
right? I mean, so it's probably better, it may be more time consuming for staff, but it's probably better if you guys just take one or two at a time
That's
Gotcha.
true.
for the
Okay.
tour. Yeah, if you don't mind, just so we don't get accused.
Yeah, so we don't
Okay.
have a quorum.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so anytime,
Yeah, if you wanna
Okay.
set up a day with me, I'd be
Yeah.
happy to go. I
I'd
haven't
be
gone
interested
since the grand
to
opening.
check it out.
Yeah.
We could team up and go.
it's a lot different.
Yeah,
Good.
just the pictures have been looking.
We're
good,
open.
So I'm excited to see it in person.
Calendar's open tomorrow afternoon. I know you're more of an afternoon guy, so if that works for you.
I would have time tomorrow afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, I could do it tomorrow.
Text me.
Okay.
It changes quickly, but tomorrow's free, so I got plenty to do, but
That sounds good. I'll get in contact with you guys tomorrow afternoon, see what's
Sounds
up.
good. We do have a mandatory class at 5, so we have to come
Okay,
back
so
on
sometime
that.
before that. Cool.
Remount 1501 is at Excellence. It's been stripped and released to production. They painted the box and the chassis is in the paint booth. And they've installed the liquid spring on the new chassis. So,
Liquid spring. Huh. I've not heard of those before.
no,
No.
it's actually really nice.
Yeah.
We really like them. I don't even know how we found them.
Well, we found them at one of the expos, but it used to be basically they took over for the airbags, but they're a lot more user-friendly, a lot better. With the chassis we're running, they're so high, we have to dump them.
Right.
So when you open the back left door,
Right.
it dumps automatically, like the older.
Yeah, we just always went with, we always had the issues that airbags always end up with.
So these lot less issues, and it's ride stability and everything else, cornering, everything's a lot better.
Is it just like hydraulic?
It is,
Okay.
it is.
Cool. That's awesome.
Just a few little updates. We're still doing the state EMS advocacy call every Friday. March 6th and 7th, we had our RETAC forum. March 14th, we did our Southern Colorado guidelines review, our medical guidelines. So with Dr. Becker, we'll be going under the Southern Regions guidelines now. So we'll be switching guidelines. March 19th, we had our grant review and that went really well. We're asking for 5 new cardiac monitors this year. So that seemed to go very well. They didn't have any questions. On March 21st, Dr. DeWall was here and did his final case reviews with the staff, and that went really well. He was kind of sad to go, but he's so busy that he can't do it anymore. March 22nd, I submitted our KISS license, or application for the KISS license. So now I'm just waiting for the state to review it. Once they review it, then if they have any questions, they'll get a hold of me. If they don't have any questions, they'll schedule some time to come down here and review our policies and kind of look at the building and say yes or no.
Is that the health service district thing?
It's a part of that. So we have to have the KISS license. Well, we don't have to have the KISS license to be a health service district, but the KISS license is what makes it that the county commissioners don't really have a say if we can move to the health service district or not. So
What is that an acronym for? I'm sorry.
Community Integrated Healthcare Service License.
Thank you. I think I ask you that every time.
And
I
I remembered this time.
Yeah, you did indeed.
So have we gotten the needs assessment? So we have to do this first before we submit the health service district application, right?
Right.
Okay.
So
So-
we did get the needs assessment. That was a part of this.
Okay.
So I've submitted all of that to the state already.
Can you send us that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Actually, Tiny did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we submitted for that. That's what gives us the license to practice as a healthcare facility so we can move on to the community paramedic stuff. And then once we have that in hand, we'll move towards the health service district. And then from there on, it should be pretty straightforward. And then March 25th, we talked about Kimberly Reed coming and touring the building. And I also attended the hospital's community health needs assessment kickoff meeting. And they're supposed to be putting out a survey for the community to go and fill out. And they have until May to get that in, and then May 6th, we'll go back and kind of review how that needs assessment went and kind of see what they come up with. So that was geared more towards mental health and drug-related problems,
Cool.
it seems like.
That's good. Got a lot of gaps in that.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then today we had a crew at the Trinidad State College Career Fair. So, and that was, we handed out, I think, 8 applications, so that was good too.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So that's what I have.
Any questions? Oh, I do actually have a question. On the, you said the Southern Colorado guidelines that we're moving to?
Yep.
What is that? What does that entail for us, like in reality? Is it just guidelines as far as treatment?
Yeah, it's just
And
treatment guidelines.
Does it change much for us?
Not a whole lot. So that's what we were on when we had Dr. Weber.
Mhm.
And then when Dr. DeWall came in, he added some things.
Good.
Dr. Becker is just as progressive as Dr. DeWall is.
Cool.
And so he has agreed to continue with the 4 waivers that we currently have.
Okay.
And then it sounds like the Southern guidelines were gonna be updated to something similar to what we're already using
Okay,
anyway,
cool.
because we're so advanced.
Nice.
And so, they should be pretty similar to what we're doing
Awesome.
already.
That's cool. Yeah. Any other questions?
The rest,
I don't know.
Hey, I've
I
got
don't know,
another
do
one. Yeah. Cool, then we can move on to the operations and fleet report.
All right, so for the month of February, we had 184 calls serviced. Medic 3 did 1 call with 1 transport. Gabe and I each handled 1 call apiece. We had a total of 30 interfacility transfers, 6 of those being return trips home. Total miles for that month was 4,900, which is now at 9,958 for the year, or for those 2 months. And up to this, for those 2 months, we've done 55 transfers to date by the end of February. We did have 1 transport IFT that we didn't take. The reason behind that was patient condition. The hospital has BiPAP, we have CPAP.
Mhm.
And sometimes patients don't tolerate going from BiPAP to CPAP, and that's this patient, and patient was very sick. So we ended up not taking that one back, or taking that, they ended up flying them.
Okay.
Did have, kind of going back, Joe knew about this. We have another ambulance service that wants to do IFTs and has applied for a license with the county at this time. But before that, I had noticed a South Fork ambulance, which is all the way over at the base of Wolf Creek Pass, coming down to Trinidad on the way home. So sent one of the crews up there. They were actually pulling a IFT off the floor. And all our crews were available. So,
Wow.
What's an IFT off the floor?
interfacility transport.
Off the floor.
So we either take them off the floor, the skilled nursing floor,
Uh-huh.
or we take them out of the emergency room.
Oh, okay, all right,
But the point
Oh.
is we do most of the transfers, especially if we're available.
okay.
Who's the company that is trying to come in?
They're a company called MMT. They're out of, I believe, the Midwest and eastern part, but they're starting to come over. They're actually out of Springs right now. So I'll get a little bit more into that here in a minute, but basically, South Fork came in, obviously you see him going down the highway with two people in the front of the ambulance. That means they're going to pick somebody up. So where are they going to pick somebody up? Sent the crew up there. They actually asked our crew how to get to the floor. So with an empty stretcher. So they were pulling somebody off the floor and we had our crews available. So, once again, this leads up to the hospital saying that we have to do transfers and we're bound by that by our service plan, but yet
But then even when we're available, they're getting other
they're not
services
using
to
it.
do
So,
it.
I don't mean to interrupt, but any thoughts as to why they would ask them to do an IFT when?
My best guess is that day we had a Denver transfer, and they assumed that we wouldn't be back in time to take that second transfer,
Okay.
and so they called another company. But they're supposed to get our permission first. So you're not supposed to be able to initiate a transport in a county that you're not licensed in. And if you do, you're supposed to get permission from the agency that is licensed there. And so this has been going on for a while. So I reached out to Southport, couldn't get through, left them a voicemail, they haven't called me back. I reached out to Legacy, who's also been coming in quite a bit, and got a hold of one of their supervisors. Of course, he wasn't the guy to talk to, so he passed me off to another supervisor who never called me back. So needless to say, I'm filing a complaint with the state against the hospital and against those two agencies.
Good.
Because I'm tired of playing these games.
Yep.
And they're making us look bad by saying that we're refusing to do these transfers when they're not even calling us.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, right.
so I've started the process to file complaints with the state on all three agencies.
Yeah,
This, I'm just tired.
Good.
Is that something that Andreas is a part of from the hospital?
I don't believe so.
That's not
I mean,
his.
he's over the ER. I'm not sure if I know he's aware. When Joe came to us with the MMT, and I'll get to the MMT thing here in just a second. So I just
Okay.
want to wrap up the South Fork. So anyway, South Fork came in, both our crews were available. We could have done the transfer. That's basically the nuts and bolts of it. So the MMT, Joe got a call from this gentleman, which is the operations manager from MMT. I'm assuming because you're the
emergency
OEM.
manager, went through emergency management.
Right. So when Joe asked me to follow up with him, I said, you know what, we handle the IFTs, right? We make not a lot of money, but we don't want to cut off the hand that feeds us. And so we take all that we can. But I told him, I said, ultimately you'd have to have a license in the county, and the hospital are the ones that do the schedule those transfers. So I do know, because I have had a conversation with Andres after I talked to the county, to follow up on that and follow up that license. And Andres did say that they did contact the hospital. They did have communication. So I followed up with the county about the MMT ambulance license, found out some more information. From what I found out was they were actually applying for an emergency license
Ooh.
because Trinidad Ambulance was not doing IFTs and they didn't know when they were gonna start.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
So who said that?
That's what the hospital said to them?
That's the only people they talked to.
That's what MMT
Huh.
said.
That's what MMT said.
That's what
That's the
MMT
only group that they've talked
told
to.
the county.
Huh.
So I explained to the county official that not only have we done and continue to do transfers, that 20% of our ambulance calls
To date.
to date has been IFTs. And just in this report, we've already done 55. So we
Right.
do roughly
Through
400 a
February.
year.
Yeah, through February.
Right.
Right,
Right.
plus through
Thank you,
February.
just want to make
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
point, yeah.
yeah, not to date.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So that obviously didn't help our attitude with what all is going on. So, they were asking for that. The county official told me that they are not going to give them an emergency license after they found out. And I spoke to him and I said, please, in the future, if you have these questions, please reach out to us.
Yeah, that's a bold move.
Yeah, it
Now-
is. Well, they're
now
poisoning the well, I'm
once-
sorry.
Yes, they are.
Once again, and the only time that we're not doing transfers is safety, weather-related safety,
Right.
patient condition.
Right.
And I did explain to the county official, there was a time because we have 2 ambulances who needed engines, just got one back. So if it required a 4-wheel drive engine, we only had one, our 4-wheel drive truck, we just have a 2-wheel drive truck, so we're not, that's, once again, comes back to a safety issue. Once again, we're well within our means of what the judge said. So we are staying with that, we're continuing to do IFTs, and they are, we try to work. I don't know what else to say about that. We have scheduled a work session with them, with the commissioners on this as well.
I was just gonna suggest a work session or study
Yeah,
session.
we do have a work session scheduled, so
When?
that's kind of where
When?
we're at.
What, it might behoove me to be there. I don't film their work sessions. Is it scheduled already? To the work session?
When are you-
I have to follow up with Bill and make sure when that is.
Okay, let me know.
Okay.
I film city work sessions, but I don't film county.
Okay.
I film the regular meeting, but I don't film the work. There's been a couple times that I have on things that were worthwhile.
It is recorded.
Right,
Yeah,
but
good.
this, it's a different venue,
Yeah.
so.
I'm wondering, I'm sorry, I know you were about to say something, Bubba, but I'm wondering if you don't even want to request an executive session with the county commissioners.
That's exactly right. That's a good
Right.
point.
And as you were talking, I was thinking, I wonder if all this should have been in an executive session. But, it's not anything that we need to, keep confidential, right? I just, but it was just a thought.
I think it needs to be out.
I think
Yeah,
it needs
all
to
right.
be public.
Okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's been an ongoing issue. We've been trying to work with them, and it's just frustrating that it's gotten to this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, it's just that you can comment more. You can, people can more freely discuss, things they think and you just talk more if it's an executive session. But that's okay.
Aren't we under some guidelines with the lawsuit now of doing and not doing things, them and us?
Well, yes.
So I'm wondering, doesn't this veer into what you're handling? Is it a
Well-
problem for if they're not complying or?
So the only one that the court has jurisdiction over is us, unfortunately. But I mean, so much of that is just so ironic because we are ordered to contract with Taha, which is the hospital, but Taha. We're ordered to contract with them regarding interfacility transfers, meaning payment, a lot of these things that we could have, just contracted on. It looks like we will anyway. We're the ones who are ordered to do this. Well, we've been trying to contract with them since 2015. I mean, Dan wanted them to be the payers of last resort, but we've been trying to contract. So to answer your question, they are under no obligations to us per the court's decision. They are supposed to ask us to do the IFTs first. They are supposed to meet medical necessity, in their physician certification statements. They have legal obligations, but per the court's decision, we're the only ones, since we're the defendants, that really have obligations.
So follow-up question, if Gabe's gonna file a complaint, who's the arbiter that you're appealing to with the complaint? Is it the state EMS?
It's the state, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
Okay. And they have jurisdiction say, hey,
They have jurisdiction
You're-
over healthcare facilities and EMS.
okay,
Have you ever filed a complaint before?
I have not.
Okay. This is the first time you've ever had occasion to do that? Okay. So we don't know how seriously they take them, how quickly they act.
Right.
We know.
oh, I know from history that,
Exactly. There are certain regulatory agencies, I know this is shocking for me to say, that don't move very quickly. Bubba, I'm sorry. I've been speaking while you've been doing your report.
That's okay.
Okay. But anyway,
I forgive you.
thank you.
So like I said, I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on that, so that's still going on.
So we've got multiple services, so we've got Legacy, Southport, and MMT that that the hospital's
We have
pulling in.
at least 5 that we know
At
of.
least 5.
They used to, I contacted Rocky Ford because somebody took me to Rocky Ford and that fire chief said they hadn't done anything since we requested them 2 years ago. So I was good with that. And AMR, GMR, MedTrans used to come in a lot, but I talked to the ops, well actually he's a regional manager now. And he told me that they hadn't been doing anything for a while and I haven't seen them come in.
I haven't either.
Okay.
So I was okay with that. So I think it's just Legacy and Southport mostly. And I think that's
And
why
then
they started
MMT,
using.
trying to
Right.
come
And I think that's why they reached out to Southport, is because AMR said, we're not playing the games anymore.
in. Got you.
So.
Yeah, this is an interesting play. It's
Yeah, it is.
Definitely a move that they've made.
And Tom's question is a good one. It's like, okay, so they have this special district, that is created to do the things we do. They say we have an absolute obligation to do their IFTs, yet they're doing
Bending them.
everything. Yeah, right, exactly. Yet they're doing everything they can
Yeah.
to not involve us in a lot of their interfacility transfers when we have an ambulance available.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is just hearsay, but one of the crews spoke to a nurse during the bad weather, and one of the floor docs basically told the nurse that he was doing anything he could to not use us and to get us in trouble. And so he was gonna call another agency.
Oh, good.
To get us in trouble.
Yeah, I guess, knowing it's hearsay, then there's nothing really to do about it, except definitely keeping an eye on
Right.
that doctor.
And that's just
how
it, it's,
few
he
or
said, she
many.
said, third party.
Right.
And I am working on another case that happened with one of our employees' families that was brought up, was not a, the outcome was okay, but I will bring that up once I have more information.
Okay.
So I'd just like to emphasize, for those keeping score at home, we are defending ourselves from a frivolous appeal of a frivolous lawsuit while being, I guess, punished financially is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what it feels
So it is a continuous ox to gore for the hospital towards the ambulance district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely in the zone of things where it's like, as we keep recording all of this stuff, then eventually it can be, I would assume, like signs of bad faith.
Yeah.
Like it's things that eventually we could be like, look, we're trying to do everything we can
Exactly.
to push forward and
Right.
do what we're supposed to
Exactly.
do. And here's a list, or here's a
That's
documented,
right. That's right.
itemized list of all the
Exactly.
times that we found that they are actively trying to go outside of it.
Exactly.
And
That's
so
absolutely-
it sucks to be where it's at, but it does sound like it's mid-documentation of these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're
Right.
just continuing to do it while continuing with the appeal.
And, so much for the era of the new administration of the hospital. I know I keep editorializing, but I think these are points that need to be made. right? I mean,
Does it's just
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like since our new board, this is definitely the first active, besides just like passive, you know, like, well,
Right,
we're gonna
right.
do the appeal and we're gonna keep it.
that's right.
It's like, it's the first active,
Right.
hey, we're gonna try and affect you negatively.
Right.
And so it's eye-opening to see.
Before it was always just me complaining.
Yeah, up until this point, I'm like,
I know, I got some.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got some
that's right,
spicy yes today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I got some corroboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because this is definitely, it's a bold move. That's a big deal
Yeah,
to try,
yeah.
especially with MMT, where it's like, if the only organization that they've been able to communicate is the hospital, and it's not necessarily correlated, but it's just true that they only talk to that organization, and then they're coming in and saying that we don't do anything.
Right.
Right,
And so,
right.
that's a very interesting and bold move.
And all
And
of
on top
this,
of that, I think the top of that is they needed an emergency license
Mhm.
to take up the
Right.
slack.
Right, yeah, IFT is almost, like, if they're
It's
coming in
not.
for the IFT thing, it's a little less threatening, but it's still kind of like, hey guys, we're doing it. But yeah, coming in and trying to go for full emergency license is a big bold move.
and all this is,
And they're a private service, I'm assuming.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
so, I think the emergency license was to get it fast tracked so
Right.
that they could do the IFTs, not to
Oh.
do the emergency 911
For
stuff.
sure,
But
but
do
then
you
it's
know
that?
still,
Right, right,
but then it
Well-
still gives
Well,
them a
license
level.
is license, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
so
level-
license
it's
is
level.
license, so
So
I
it's
just
like-
thought maybe I
Well,
misunderstood.
it's
No, for
it's
sure. I-
business, they're trying to get their foot in the door.
Exactly,
Right, right,
I'm,
right.
I'm
It's just a
at
business move.
my
Exactly.
biggest sticking point is because exactly that, it's exactly how a private service gets their foot in the door, and then 5 years down the road, that's how
Right.
Metro Atlanta took
There you
over
go.
Bartow County,
Exactly
where they're
right.
like, oh, we'll do it for $3 million,
Yeah.
and then they up the price over and over
Right,
and over, and ask
yeah.
for per diems, and ask
who
for.
could have seen that coming?
Right,
Everybody.
and so it's like, that's what I feel like this move is a foot in the door to try and privatize, and I don't
Could be.
like it.
I'd like to also emphasize that the hospital is the group who said that we had an obligation per the service plan that was as great as our obligation for 911 immersion calls, that IFTs was an equal obligation, that we had to do them, that just as much as we had to do 911 calls, we had to do IFTs for them, whenever, wherever, whatever we had going on, same obligation. Got a court to say that that is correct, that we had that same obligation in the service plan, even though there is nothing in the service plan that says that, but same obligation, and now they're saying, well, we don't care, we're gonna contract with 5 different agencies to do our IFTs.
Which
And it's just,
that kind of leads me into thinking, I'm like, this doctor could bode well for us if the hearsay is correct, because then it's like, if he's continuously showing that obligation is not as strong
Right.
as they're arguing it is,
right,
then what else are they arguing incorrectly or illegitimately?
yeah,
And so,
right, yeah.
yeah, it's a bold new world.
Sorry
yeah.
to open up that can of worms.
I know, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good-
And we
No,
were
that's
gonna
a good-
finish
that's
the
a good
meeting
thing.
and
I'll-
have.
I'll be chewing on those worms for a little while, I think.
So there'll be more to come.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
So,
Should we extend next month's executive session
Please.
to include this?
Yep, and Barb, if we could, let's talk like a week beforehand so we can say what the purposes are. We're gonna have 2 executive sessions. Okay, and yeah, good, yes, good idea. Oh, it's gonna be a long meeting.
Yeah.
You'll be late for the
Sorry,
Yeah,
Dad.
right.
Maybe we should
I'll
move
just
to.
skip, I'll just skip the other meeting.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Not a problem.
That's all right.
any other questions on that topic? No? Okay, so, Lieutenant Bacharach and myself attended a 2-day motivational interviewing class, Monday and Tuesday, yesterday and the day before in Woodland Park. Was excellent. Hate to say Chief was right, but I could communicate probably a little bit better, and that was brought out in that. But they are having another 3-day class in Westcliff that we're gonna try to get at least our supervisors to. And it's not only clinicians, it's for patient care, but it's also helping with leadership and stuff. So was very great, phenomenal opportunity. As you see, Big Red just drove by a little bit ago. It's in service. They're running out of it today. So we have that, and I'm happy to report that 4 of our 6 trucks are up and running. So the one is obviously in Alabama, separated from the back and the front, but it'll be here hopefully in June or May. And we're I think we got an injector on one of the other trucks, so I'm crossing fingers that by next week we'll have 5 of the 6 up and running. So
Wow.
working on that.
But can I ask a silly question? When you talk about the trucks, because they drive by my house all the time, and I see the ones that I think are older, how many trucks do we have? 5 or 6 or?
So no, we have 3 full-size trucks.
The blue ones?
The white ones.
Are the
there's 3 of
older?
Those are the older ones. The blue ones, and now the red and white one.
That's the newest?
How
Okay,
many
so the white, like I said, I see the white, I've seen the white a lot lately, and those are the older ones, right?
Yep,
And
so
then the
those
blue?
are the ones that we put out to the volunteers to use because they can't be
The
run
white?
every day anymore,
The white
the
ones?
white ones.
Okay. I was
And
just
we
like,
had to pull those into service because we were down trucks.
okay. Almost might want to ask for pictures because I'm a visual guy and I just hear trucks and I'm like, and I see them by my house every day.
You said 2 white, 3 blue, and the red truck?
Well, so we have a total of, when we get the one back from Alabama, we'll have 5 blue.
Okay,
Blue.
We have 5 white.
okay.
5 white.
Well, three ambulances and 2 SUVs,
Yeah, yes.
but you can
Yes.
transport those SUVs.
Yes, so,
Okay.
They're licensed to transport.
Nice.
and then we have the red and white one.
Okay. When you get them all lined up, take a picture and.
Well, so
Yeah,
We keep
nicknames.
talking about
What
that.
I'm hoping to do is when we get the new station, maybe at open house time, we can line them all up or get them all.
That'd be
We'll,
neat.
we'll let the interior decorator
Yeah,
say where we need to be, and then we'll drone them.
nice.
So
Okay.
He was pointing at me, but
Oh, yeah,
he
no,
needs to be
right,
pointing
right.
over there.
Barb, we're pointing at you when he says interior decorator.
They're taking care of all that.
yeah, so hopefully we'll have the most of the fleet up and running by the end of next week. So
Awesome.
barring anything else, we and go from there. We had 2 applicants. We did lose a paramedic. 1 resigned. So we had a very qualified applicant come in today. So we'll be discussing that and interviewed with lieutenants. So hopefully sooner than later, we'll be back up to full staff. So
Awesome.
that's all I had without any other questions.
Nice. Yeah, that was, I think, the longest operation.
I know.
Well, thanks to Les.
Cha-ching, you cut off.
Yeah.
Meters ready.
How ironic, how ironic that he's the one getting paid by the hour.
All of my questions were on.
Sure. Cool. Well then, sans any other questions, we'll move on to number 11, miscellaneous.
Sorry, Tom, I ruined your plan.
A couple of quick things. One's more informational. April 11th to 15th, Team Rubicon's coming here. They're a nationwide organization, but they're mostly coming out of Denver and Pueblo. They're going to work on the burn scar out the Titan fire.
Oh.
And they're going to bring in 30 plus people plus heavy equipment.
Wow.
They're working in loose soil. So it tends to be possible for a thing, but it's quite a ways out in Bon Cargo up in that area. So I just want to put it in the back of your head if you get a call. Because
11th through the 15th.
11th through the 15th. I tried to get a bond or a grant, and I got $1 million grant approved. The county and all the participants couldn't come up with $100,000 for part of the grant, so it just went away. I had to pull it. So
Oh my God.
in response to that, I talked to Team Rubicon. I know neighbor, and they're coming in, and they're probably about $250,000 worth of work, digging out culverts, ditches, and putting up retaining walls to hold the Burns Square back.
That's awesome.
So I just want to put you on notice, so because with that many people, with that kind of state of soil, it's open to an issue, so I just want to make sure you guys are.
I'm sorry, Joe, how many people did you say?
There's 30 plus. The last count I had was 31, because I was working to get them builded. They're going to be staying they were going to stay at the fairgrounds. That didn't work out. They're going to stay at the community center. They're going to put them up too, so they'll all be in town doing that. They'll be running out there every day. So probably about 1,200, 1,500 hours worth of man hours plus heavy equipment they're bringing in.
Wow.
And they're gonna buy local as much as they can. They're gonna spend the money here.
That's awesome.
Completely volunteer group though. It's all volunteers.
How neat.
So it's pretty cool. But again, I'm just worried about, everybody's rushing through this thing, and I just want to make sure they stay safe. That was my growl to them is, hey, take your time and make sure things are shored up.
Look at putting a BLS ambulance up there.
What? Well, that's a consideration if you have the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to the fire chief's meeting this evening. Mike Lambert, the Von Carver Fire Department, I'll mention that to him, and I'll tell him to contact you
Okay.
if they would request that. But it's moving so quickly that I want to make sure all the things are covered.
Yeah,
Everybody's
they're willing to
aware.
volunteer their time, I'm willing to volunteer, put an ambulance up there, basically a support ambulance or
That
something.
would be wonderful. Thank you. I'll offer that. The second thing I had was, Bubba, if you could get me all the COOP stuff we did for when we did our little training session with including our after action report. What I want to do is use the ambulance district as an example to the whole county, because we don't have COOP plans anywhere but here, pretty much.
Right.
So we need to fix that. So I'm going to hit not only the county, the hospital, all the organizations that we have in the town, the city, and I'm going to try and include everybody. Right now, we've got everybody talking to everybody except the hospital. And everybody's cooperating real well. Before I lose that handle, I want to try and get as much push through as I can. But I would like to use an example and then promote the ambulance district.
Well, what we can do is we can give you the full report and where we came up with all of the deficiencies and stuff.
Right.
And then we have the second part of that with the training stuff, which
Yeah.
Darren did a real good job with that. So we have that. So.
Yeah, and it doesn't always apply to every organization, but it'll give them a template to say, here's what we're looking for in your organizations. If the assessor's office goes down, for example, they should have one. What do you do if you can't access records?
Absolutely.
Things like that. So I'd like to use the English district as an example and try to promote the English district as a, proactive and ahead of the curve. And that's all I have.
Any questions? Then we'll move on to scheduling the next meeting date.
For 24/24.
Wow.
Really, we need to do something special that day.
That's my
Blazing.
boy's birthday.
I'm so sorry.
Cake.
I was just not gonna say it, and then you opened the door.
Zachary.
I'm sorry, guys. It'll be over soon.
Oh, and Barb forgot to mention that the bylaws don't say anything about time, just date. So we don't have to change the bylaws.
I
Or
want to thank you guys so much.
Sweet.
We can keep it at
Very
4.
much
Okay.
appreciated. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Barb.
Even though
Another thing about in-bank, our money
Oh,
market
yeah.
account. So with our CD, how much were we earning, like $20
Yes.
a month
That's
in
a
interest?
Minuscule.
We just got our in-bank, I was so excited this morning, our in-bank statement for our money market account, $2,200 for the
Nice.
month of
what a
February.
difference.
Wow.
Dig.
That's right.
Wow.
Well done, guys.
That's big.
Nice.
Oh,
No,
and we
we're
will
done.
say that we should have a snack or something that day because it is Administrative Professional Day.
Ooh,
There you go.
24.
Even more incentive for food.
Coley's.
type.
And I'll even take care of that, so you don't have to, Barb.
Aww.
Aw.
Yeah,
Expects to
thanks,
know that
Bubba.
Awesome. Cool. So then we'll need someone to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I got here late. I should be
Time.
late.
Glad I can attend.
Nick, are you good with the adjournment?
Yes, ma'am.
Joe,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
4:59?
Beautiful.
Nice.
Good kids.